Good morning, everybody, or almost afternoon now. And today, I really thank Endeavor for letting me to be here to share with all of you our journey. Bluebird is well known for having this very strong corporate culture, and of course, we have been through ups and downs. And today, I hope to be able to share that with all of you, and I hope to be able to get some inputs also because I'm here also to learn. So let me start quickly by giving, oh, this is the flicker. A little bit of the history of Bluebird. So Bluebird was founded by the late Ibu Mutiara Siti Fatimah, so by a woman. She didn't have any business background. She was a law lecturer. On that time, our family was in challenging economic situation, and we were given 2 cars by the government because our late grandfather was the founder of the police academy and the military school. So using those 2 cars in the beginning in 1965, we started the limousine service business in Jakarta. So only with 2 cars on that time. And then in 1971, Jakarta government opened up taxi licensing services, and the late Ibu Mutiara tried to apply. She was rejected in the beginning because she was a woman, just because of that. And women don't belong in the land transportation industry because it's a very rough business on that time. But again, this is a very good value for us entrepreneurs that you don't give up. You have to pursue your passion. So she did. She kept coming back and coming back and coming back until out of pity, the governor of Jakarta on that time gave her the licenses. So the licenses was first issued for 5 companies. Those are big companies on that time. And then out of pity, the 6th license were being issued to Bluebird. So we started operating on the 1st of May, 1972. So on the 1st of May, if you see a lot of Bluebird taxi and a lot of Bluebird drivers gathering, is not doing the demo, okay? We're celebrating our anniversary because it's Hari Buruh in Indonesia, right? So please remember that. So the name Bluebird itself was taken from a story adopted from a European fairy tale. It's about a little girl who's looking for happiness. Actually, I was meant to ask, would you rather for me to speak in Bahasa Indonesia or in English? Okay. That will make my job harder, but okay. So it's a European fairy tale about a little girl who's looking for happiness. So the basic philosophy from that story is really implemented and embedded within our company. So I'm just going to give a background of the company growth. So we started from 25 taxi in 1972. We currently have more than 30,000 or almost 31,000 vehicles. And we have around 43,000 drivers and employees. 37,000 of them are drivers. So they have a very various backgrounds from lulus SMP, until a master degree. And the background comes from Jakarta, Java, or up to Irian Jaya. And in the beginning, we were servicing 5 hotels. Now we have more than 507 exclusive outlets. But what is important is that we're servicing more than 8.5 million passengers a month. So a lot of complaints, a lot of inputs. So because we cannot please 8.5 million passengers a month every time. So this is just, I'm just going to go through. This is the Bluebird that we all know. It's the regular taxi, the executive taxi, limousine, car rental, and charter bus. And I just mentioned this that a few months ago, I have a new role that I'm now the CEO of the holding. So not just for the passenger transportation. So now I have a new job. That's why I need to learn. Because my next job is to grow these smaller companies that we have. So I'm going to learn together with all of you. So these are our other divisions that it's my new role now is to grow each of these companies. So number 1, each company has to have a vision. Without the vision, it's very difficult for us to think of a long term. For a startup, it should start from our own vision. The vision of Ibu Joko Sutono, the late Ibu Joko Sutono, is embedded in this vision. Yeah, she wants to give happiness, first to her own family, to the shareholders, and to the stakeholders. So we put it in our vision. It's the continuing prosperity of all stakeholders. So we don't focus on short-term profitability, but really on the continuing prosperity of all stakeholders. That's why every policies we have within the company, it's all comes back to this vision. So it is very important to set a vision. And then we also have a mission, which is to achieve customer satisfaction, because it's very important for us. We are a services company. So customer satisfaction is very important, although we know that we cannot have a zero defect in any kind of services company. So we always have to have room to improve. And we have one term in Bluebird, which is called OTSU. It's opportunity to screw up. Yeah. So as long as we identify, because we realize that we cannot be perfect every time. It's just too many variables. I drove a taxi for a day, and I try to do this every year. And, the biggest fear that I have is being scolded by the passengers because I don't know the route, because I don't drive myself. So that's the last thing in my mind. I'm really bad in the routes. So I was being scolded many, many times. So I cannot please every single passengers, and I really know that. What is important is what happened if I cannot please the passengers. Then I have to know. Yeah, if they don't know. So number one, set the expectation. First, I have to tell them, I'm so sorry, I'm a new driver, I don't know the routes very well in Jakarta, so if I don't know where your destination is, please let me know. Set the expectation. Yeah. Then I would ask if I don't know, which most of the time it happens, but still the expectation is set. So then if they're still really angry about it, then I would apologize. So what is very important is that we know where would be the opportunity to screw up, then we can prepare. Because customer satisfaction comes in two things. One is the first experience. Second, if there is a mishap happening, then what are we going to do to resolve it? That is as important as the first try itself. These are our operations in Indonesia. We're currently operating in 13 cities. Later on, I want to spend more time in the question and answer, because a lot of stories, as you heard in the news, every time we open up a new branch, then there is always a demonstration in that city. Yeah, so we create a new trends nowadays. So this is our vehicle growth. I want to spend a little bit time in here because today we're talking about startups. I am lucky enough, I joined the company since I was really young, and I have been being used by the family since I was really young. So I tried my best to just contribute in anything I can do since I was really young. But I did not get involved in operations in the very beginning because I was too young. And so, but we had a really big growth spur, if you see, between year 2001 to year 2004. We grew double the size. That is exactly right after the recession. Yeah, there was a huge political and economy recession in 1998. So we grew straight after that. And the reason for that is because, number one, we had a very good track record with the finance, with our financial partner. So that is very important. Build your track record since the very beginning. It will help you at the end when you're down. Because on that time, after 1998, a lot of banks cut down their loans. Because we had the track records, a good track records, so on that time when they had to select a few companies to give the loans, then they selected us as one of the companies. So build your track record very, very well since the very beginning. And the second one is that a lot of companies on that time, a lot of other land transportation companies did two things. One, because the demand of the taxi on that time went down drastically, they cut down a lot, they lay off a lot of employees. They lay off a lot of drivers. They cut down on the quality of the vehicle itself by not doing the maintenance. Because if you remember on that time, the exchange rate of a dollar raised from 2,500 to 18,000. That also impacted the cost of spare parts, which is quite a big chunk for us. So a lot of the other companies cut down on those quality things. What we did on that time is we gather everybody, we get the brainstorm, we get the whole team together and think of something creative. Of course we have to cut down the cost, otherwise we would be bankrupt. So we have to cut down the cost, but how to cut down the cost? That is very important. So number one, we come back to our mission that we have to put quality first. So the things that we cannot cut down is the quality. Back to our mission that we do everything as a team. And our values, our family values, we take care of every single person within the company as part of our family. Yeah, so we're not gonna kick them out during a bad time. Of course, we're gonna separate the ones that are not efficient or not working very well, but we're not gonna be separated with the one who's working very hard and are very loyal to us. So, on that time, we found two things. Because there was no demand for a taxi, we had a lot of taxi drivers just going around, not picking up any passengers. So what we did was we gathered them in, we gave them trainings, special trainings. One, because we need to lower down our costs, and one of the biggest costs is spare parts. The first training we gave to them is economical driving. Why economical driving? Because the way they drive the car affect the usage of the spare parts. So this kind of creative thinking is very important. At the end of the day, we have to lower down the cost of spare parts. How to do it? So this is just an example. And the second one is to give more training about services, to give more training about services. So when the economy picked up in year 2001, we were the first company that were ready. So our spirit was high because our team was all together and we're very high. We're ready. Our vehicles were 100% ready to operate, to be in operation again. So we could grow very rapidly then. So when there is a challenge, see it as an opportunity. That is the lesson learned on that time. Yes, we have to do so many changes. We have to do a lot of efficiency because we're preparing our growth. So we grow very rapidly in the vehicle in here. We implemented new system because we could not keep adding more and more people within our organization. We still have to do efficiency, but luckily we have the growth. So we can grow without adding too much of the overheads. So that is one of the important lessons on that time as well. So these are our values. The first one is integrity. That's why we are very proud that we can return more than 79% of the lost belongings left in our taxis, and I think that's the world record high. You know, we're very proud that we still have a lot of honest people in Indonesia, and we're very proud of that. Because, you know, if you read newspapers all about KPK, you know, people are being dishonest about this and that, and our driver can return more than 79% of the lost belongings. I even have one story about a driver who returned a bag of jewelry worth 2 billion rupiah, and he just returned it. You know, I was so amazed with him. And I use these kind of stories to tell the other drivers as well, that when we work, it's not just to get money. We need to give also, and we need to make ourselves happy. So we have integrity, we have discipline and hard work, because we are a strong believer that without discipline and hard work, we are not going to get to be successful. And every single person in the company, so it's not just for startups. I think Sal mentioned earlier that, for startup, you have to work hard and things like that. We all work 7 days a week. And, especially because this is still a family company. So, and we open 24 hours, 365 a day, a year. So, the company never sleeps. So we have to be the role model of every single person who works. So we cannot expect people to come to our office at 7 and then we just come at 10. That doesn't happen. Yeah, until now, we still have to do that. And family values, I mentioned about that. It is very important for us because we have 37,000 drivers. Yeah, and these drivers, when we recruited them, we look at a few things. The first one is the attitude and behavior. We used a psychologist to do interview for the candidates, and we used senior driver to test on their technical skills. So we need to recruit people who can fit into our vision, to our corporate culture. That's number one, because attitude and behavior are very difficult to change. So you need to have the fit in the first place. Technical things, you can teach them. Yeah, so you can teach them about the SOP and everything like that, but attitude and behavior is very, very important. Needs to fit. And then we have, and then in the beginning, they always think that, okay, you know, I'm not generalizing, but most of the drivers, they have a very short-term vision of a day only. Whatever they earn today, they would just finish it for that day. They don't think of tomorrow. Tomorrow is another day. So in Bluebird, we have a long-term vision. So the lesson learned here is the vision have to be the same. If there is a gap, you have to try to manage the gap. So what we did on the first day of the training is, so that would increase their loyalty, the feeling of togetherness, the family values. And we treat them as part of our family. You know, ever since I was young, one of the very important value that my late grandmother taught me is that we have to treat every single person the same. So we used to eat together with the drivers. You know, when the driver was still 35, 100, we still could do that every single day. But now we have 37 drivers, so it's a bit challenging. But we still do the rituals. Once a year, we have buka puasa bersama. So we open up the house of my father's house, and we invite every single driver to come. So we open the house for 7 days, 8 days. So every day we have 1,500 people coming. And what we did is we never have this VIP tables and things. Everybody sit together on the ground, and it's my job and my family job to serve them. So we serve them the food for them. So this is like, you know, the whole family gathering thing. It is very important. These small things that we see small is very important for them because they need to be appreciated. Yeah? And I hang out with them. When I said that I drive the taxi, most important part is not taking the passengers. The most important part for me is to nongkrong in a warung with the drivers. Because that way, we can get information from them. You know, I got teased so many times by these drivers because they didn't know who I was. You know, so, you know, it's like, you know, are you married? You know, it's like, yes. How could your husband let you drive the taxi? You know, and things like that. So, you know, I was being mocked. But then I learned a lot from them. And one thing I learned is really tiring to drive a manual in Jakarta, you know. So I suggested, you know, to the shareholders that maybe we should change to an automatic. But, you know, a lot of lessons learned by mingling with your employees. Yeah, go down to them because that's where the real information you can get. So all of this built the strong corporate culture. So this is the thing that I mentioned earlier. Yes, we have to have a good recruitment. Yes, we have to have a good training. But these are the basic things. But addressing their needs, addressing their dreams is the one that makes us different to the others. Yeah, I call it care beyond remuneration. The first one is that, okay, we have this service motto, which is called Andal. Andal by itself, it means reliable, right? But Andal for us means more than that. It means aman, nyaman, mudah, dan personalized. So this service motto is not only to be delivered for our external customer, but also, most importantly, is to our internal customers. Because we strongly believe that only happy people can make other people happy. Yeah. So we have to concentrate on making our own people happy. Because we cannot force unhappy people to make other people happy. They would come out as grumpy, you know, you can see from the faces. Again, as Sal mentioned, you know, every time you see the Endeavor staff, they're all so happy because it comes from their heart, because they're happy. So this is very important. So we provide the dormitories because we're helping them in reducing their costs. Unfortunately, transportation cost is very, very expensive still. So this also contributes to the safety. So we want them to have enough rest. So we provide free dormitories in our depots. We provide free health clinics because number one, we want them to be healthy, because as a passenger, you don't want to drive in a taxi where the taxi driver is sick, because it's not safe for your health and not safe for you, because they can get dizzy and all of this. And we provide soft loans for the housing for the people who want to have their own house in the future. And we provide education for the children. Every semester we're giving to about 2,600 students, the children of our drivers who do higher studies, university studies, because we want to help them to achieve their dreams. And we send them to go to Hajj and now to Umrah. We have car ownership program because some of our drivers want to have their own cars. And we have also, I mentioned about the Bluebird Peduli. So this is on the right is the Maslow hierarchy of needs, right? I mean, I'm sure most of you know about this. So this is what's important, because every single person has different stage of needs. That's why we also have careers, even for our drivers. From the normal driver, they can become a head of the group, they can become the mentor. We have a career built for them. And as you see there, it's not just remuneration. And the last one, we engage more than just the drivers. Yes, we have more than 100 women drivers, but 100 out of 37,000. So we still have 36,900 male drivers, and most of them are married. Because we prefer to have married men to drive our taxis. Because our assumption is that married men are more responsible. I don't know, you can prove it right, you can prove it wrong, but that is our assumption. So we have a lot of women within our organization. So how do we engage them to love the company more? So we just launched Women Empowerment Program for the wives of the drivers. So we give them skill. We launched the first one with the sewing skill. The reason why we picked that is because every day we make uniform. So at least we can give the seat business to the wives of the drivers. The second one is to make cookies. So not just the skill, we're helping them to, if they, maybe I should enroll them to Endeavor also, yeah? Because we're helping them to scale up their businesses. And we work together with some retail companies like 7-Eleven so that they can sell their products there. And then we do environment, the culture, and I mentioned about education. So it's care beyond remuneration is the one that makes us different. I think that's the whole point. So the highlights for me, the lesson I learned is number one, as an entrepreneur, you have to find your passion. Are you passionate about your business? That's number one. Because if you don't have a passion, you're not going to be able to go through the ups and downs that every single entrepreneur have to go through. A challenge, if you can pass through a challenge, it will only make you stronger and bigger. Have your vision, because normally it starts from your own vision and then implement it to the company. And implement your vision, because having your vision only in your head does not do you anything. So you have to implement your vision. And always be a role model and never stop learning. At Bluebird, I always tell every single person that we shall never feel that we're number one. We are currently number-wise the largest land transportation company in Asia. But we can never feel that we're number one. The reason is because after the top of the mountain, there's no top of the mountain. It's always downhill. So we always have to strive ourselves to be better. There's one thing that my great-grandmother is a very philosophical person. Yeah. So one thing that I always remember and I always share is she said, at one point of time, you have to be able to look down and up at the same time. And this is not easy. You have to be able to look down because there are so many people that are less fortunate than you at this very moment. Yeah, so you have to feel grateful. That's number one. But number two, at the same time, you also have to look up because there's so many other people who are more successful than you. So you have to strive yourself to always be better and better and better.